Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield promised us the next great sci-fi horror blockbuster. But then came the release. Performance issues, frustrating gameplay, missing content and negative reviews. So after several patches, one DLC and almost 3 years later, is the game finally playable in 2025? I ventured back into the terrifying Black Iron Prison to find out for you. The launch of the Callisto Protocol was catastrophic. What was the problem in 2022? The performance was a nightmare, especially on PC. The game struggled with severe shader stuttering, crashes and unpredictable performance. Ray tracing was almost unplayable. The controversial combat system, particularly the core of the gameplay, the melee combat, was widely considered clunky and repetitive. Dodging left and right felt more like a QuickTime event than a dynamic system. At release, the actual ending was withheld from us. Only with the Final Transition DLC did we get the complete story. The Callisto Protocol quickly became the blueprint for a disappointing, unfinished release. Did any of you play it from the day it was released? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. After the release, Striking Distance Studios worked on patches and updates. What's changed since then? The stuttering and crashes were reduced with the first patches. On my gaming PC, the game ran stably without crashes. I played it exclusively with ray tracing and limited the frame rate to 60 FPS. There were occasional micro stutters, but it's no longer a slideshow. However, if you're sensitive to any kind of stuttering, I would still advise you to stay away from this game. It's still not a completely fluid gaming experience. Features like New Games Plus and a hardcore mode were added to increase replayability and challenge. Although I have to say, one playthrough on medium difficulty was enough for me. You do nothing but run through linear levels to brutally kill monsters. 162 million US dollars in production costs and not a single puzzle or any other variety. One of the most important changes: you can now skip the brutal, but after the 5th time, annoying death animations. Smaller but effective adjustments to the combat system have made the controls more responsive and improved the overall feel of the game. Don't expect miracles, it's still the same system. Hit, shoot, dodge left, dodge right, hit, shoot and so on. This drags on until the end of the game and can get very monotonous over time. My 2025 experience, is it good now? I replayed the Callisto Protocol with all these updates and the Final Transmission DLC, and my answer is yes, it is more playable today. Visually, it's still an absolute powerhouse. The Black Iron Prison is a claustrophobic, detailed nightmare. The lighting is fantastic and the atmosphere is thick enough to cut with a knife. The horror in the Callisto Protocol relies heavily on gore and jump scares, which gets a bit repetitive towards the end. The soundscape, however, is consistently and oppressively good. No wonder it was mixed at the famous Star Wars sound studio Skywalker Sound. The sound is a clear recommendation for headphones and a good surround system. The combat system of melee firearms and the grip weapon is still only mediocre. I barely used the grip glove because I mainly filled the limited inventory space with ammo instead of the necessary batteries. And all you can do is grab and throw anyway. Nothing more. Due to the lack of puzzles, the glove is only used in combat. What I found extraordinarily exhausting were the boss fights. Fortunately, there were only 4 of them, but with this combat system, it's a real struggle and just no fun. I missed having a health bar for the bosses so I could better see how long the fight would last and how much damage I was actually doing with each weapon. So, the Callisto Protocol clearly does not have the brilliance of Dead Space, and you have to accept that. The levels are more linear, the story is more straightforward, and the melee system is, to put it mildly, very special. But if you accept the game for what it is, you get a tight, brutal and graphically stunning sci-fi horror experience with excellent sound design. Just a few words about the DLC Final Transmission. To be honest, this DLC is an insult. It's simply the last chapter of the story. That's right. Without the DLC, there is no complete story, and with 3 hours of playtime, it's a short-lived pleasure. The graphics and the sound are the same as in the main game. But I noticed more lens flares as a stylistic device on the light sources, such as with fire. There are now small puzzle sections, not very many, but better than nothing, and they provide a little bit of variety. The final boss, thankfully the only one, now also had a health bar, which naturally stuck out like a sore thumb at the top of the screen. Since the combat system is the same as in the main game, the boss fight is just as frustrating. What bugs have I noticed? For all those who don't want to play with English audio, you're out of luck after the last patch in July 2024. Except for English, other dubbing options can no longer be selected in the menu. There is a workaround for this, you can find a link in the description. The HDR is still broken. You'll have to experiment with the settings a little until you find the right one for you. Despite the obvious weakness, I had mostly fun during my 18 hours of playtime with the Callisto Protocol. Finally, a sci-fi horror game with strong graphics and sound again. But I would only buy it on sale and with the DLC. Be aware of the weaknesses. For some of you they could be a deal breaker. October is approaching, and if you're looking for new content in this genre after games like Dead Space Remake and Chronos: The New Dawn, then you could give the Callisto Protocol a second chance. Alright, that's my take. Would you give the Callisto Protocol a second chance, or have you already done so? Write in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. See you next time!